affair with space is as strong as ever. So imagine what it was like for the former astronauts, men who've explored the great unknown, who've walked on the moon. Well,
The Soviet Union was the crowned winner in the space race of the 20th centuries. During their glory, they made numerous discoveries and achieved remarkable feats that paved the way for future missions. However, within these triumphant moments, there were a few stories and facts kept as a secret from the public. Now, years later, these secrets were revealed by a Soviet astronaut just before his death. What was the Soviet Union hiding from us? For how long did they keep these secrets? And how does it affect our understanding of the universe? Join us as we uncover how a Soviet astronaut breaks silence before his death and reveals a terrifying secret. While NASA may have been the first in the world to deploy a human onto the moon, they weren't the first to explore it. That crown goes to the Soviet Union. But beyond scoring a point and sending the first man-made object to the moon, the Soviet Union did another seemingly impossible feat. They were the first to send a man-made object into another planet's atmosphere. The planet in question is Venus. The phenomenal milestone of landing a spacecraft on Venus occurred in the 1960s. The Venera mission aimed to gather as much information as possible about Venus. However, these missions had to overcome a few blockades. The Soviets' brave decision to explore Venus was faced with severe resistance initially, as the first two Venera missions in the early 1960s failed. Venera 3 was launched in 1965, but crashed on Venus without returning any data. But by 1967, the Venera 4 managed to touch down safely on the harsh world of Venus and sent back data to Soviet scientists. It was a truly breathtaking moment. Before that time, not much was known about Venus, aside from the fact that thick, scary clouds covered it. Thanks to Venera 4, scientists learned that there is no oxygen or water in Venus's atmosphere, and it was mostly carbon dioxide. It also brought to light that there was no magnetic field over there on Venus. Overall, the Venera 4 probe spent about 90 minutes collecting data. Soon after, it melted under the unforgiving pressure and atmospheric conditions of Venus. In the years following Venera 4, they conducted 12 more Venera missions, which were all successful. These later models of Venera spacecraft came with advanced modifications so they could withstand more pressure and collect more precise data. Thanks to these modifications, the Soviets collected a mountain of data about the mysterious planet. Venera 8 was able to take camera photo shots and clips of Venus, even amidst the terrible climate. Another thing the Soviets also kept secret was the details of the Mars exploration program. You see, the success of the Venera mission inspired the Russians to dig deeper into the cosmos, and so they set their sights on the Earth's sister planet, Mars. The Mars missions were a series of missions the Soviet space program launched between 1960 and 1973 to explore the Red Planet. The spacecraft for these missions was uncrewed, and they typically consisted of landers, orbiters, and flyby probes. The first launch in 1969 was a complete failure due to design and technical faults, but that didn't stop the Soviets. The subsequent identical spacecrafts Mars 2 and Mars 3 had successful launches. From images to seismic data, the spacecraft was designed to get as much information as possible, and so it was pre-installed with various instruments like ultraviolet spectrometers, photo cameras, infrared, and magnetometers. The ultraviolet spectrometers analyze the atmosphere and soil on Mars, while the magnetometers gauge the intensity and direction of the magnetic field. The radiometers were responsible for collecting data on atmospheric pressure and water vapor levels. So, you see, the Mars 2 and 3 were very sophisticated vessels with technology way ahead of their time. These two spacecrafts had a special part called the lander, designed to survive the hard impact upon descent. The entire concept of the landing system was very fascinating. First, the landing sequence involved the deployment of a parachute specially tailored for the Martian atmosphere. Then, a set of retro rockets will be activated after a short while to further facilitate a gentle touchdown. Sadly, the Mars 2 spacecraft never made the landing, but crashed woefully. It was all due to a malfunction in its systems. The Mars 3, on the other hand, stuck the landing perfectly. becoming the first man-made craft to pull off a successful soft landing on Mars. This was a phenomenal landmark for the Russians that once again put them in the lead in the epic space exploration race against their rival, the US. In a quest to conquer Mars, the Russians created the Pra-PM rover as well. This genius space apparatus was designed to do the observation that an astronaut would have done if he were physically present. Shaped like a square and measuring about 5 kilograms, the rover was designed to navigate the Martian surface with ease, thanks to its special skis that provided a kind of hopping movement. It was a true work of ingenuity, made to navigate the rugged terrains of Mars. But here's the shocking thing that happened after the Soviet Union's inspirational Martian landing. The secret was revealed by a Soviet astronaut. The Mars 3 went silent after about 15 seconds of beginning its data transmission back to Earth. No one knows what caused the sudden break in transmission, but the device never came back on. Just before the Mars 3 rover went radio silent, the last thing the cameras picked up was a gray background. This is why most experts and scientists in the Soviet Union believe that a dust storm must have engulfed Mars 3 and brought it to its early demise. The loss of transmission was a bad turn of events. Since there was no way to communicate, the scientists at the base had no way to discern the fate of Mars 3 or its rover. You see, the Pra-PM rover was meant to be manipulated by the specialized arm of the Mars 3 spacecraft it was tethered to. It was also designed so that it could only move in the field of view of the cameras installed on Mars 3. Ideally, this rover should have stopped to take measurements at every 5F distance covered, but sadly, it never got a chance to explore a large area of the Martian surface. Although the USSR's Martian missions may have been motivated by the desire to outshine the United States, there was also another agenda. You see, the Soviets were also seeking the answer to a great mystery, the mystery of aliens living on Mars. The Martian rover wasn't just equipped to observe and analyze soil and weather conditions, it was also equipped to look out for signs of biological life forms. The Mars 3 spacecraft transmitted the first ever live image from Mars, but it wasn't much to go by. All that could be seen in the image was a gray background. Detecting an alien, or anything at all, from such an image was practically impossible. Nonetheless, it was a remarkable breakthrough, and the Soviet Union was quite proud. After the Mars 3 mishap, the Soviet Union did everything it could during the subsequent missions to prevent such an event. By the years 2000 to 2010, technological capabilities for space exploration had advanced greatly. This fostered a new desire among American scientists to launch their Mars mission, and so, by 2005, NASA launched the MRO, Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, to explore Mars. The space probe slowly orbited Mars, and one of its main goals was to find traces of the Mars 3 spacecraft that had landed there decades earlier in 1971. It was a long and hard search. Also, several decades had passed. There was a fair chance that the debris from Mars 3 may have been buried under dust or swept away by the raging storms on the planet. But imagine the surprise when the MRO captured some interesting photos showing debris and objects that looked like wrecked spaceship parts. One very recognizable item in the photos was the parachute, and just beside the parachute lay a circular metal object, which many experts speculated could be the Mars 3 lander. However, even with all the information in these images, researchers couldn't determine what must have caused Mars 3 to shut down unexpectedly. Still, all this was soundproof that the Soviets' Mars mission wasn't a hoax, and they really succeeded. Now, something shocking happened in 2020 when a Soviet astronaut shared UFO footage with the rest of the world on social media. The Russian astronaut, or as they're commonly called, cosmonaut, was orbiting Earth at the ISS. The cosmonaut was recording a video of the Earth's southern lights, a beautiful space phenomenon that astronomers fondly call the aurora australis. The cosmonaut, Ivan Wanger, was having a field day enjoying the auroras, until he spotted something else moving in a unique formation. In the video, you see the curved edge of the Earth, several stars in the background, and the not-too-visible auroras. But looking closely to the left, you find a group of 4 or 5 objects with bright lights gliding slowly over the Earth at equal distances from each other. The brief video only lasted about 1 minute, but the man who posted it explained that he shot it in a time-lapse. In real time, these objects actually lasted for about 52 seconds. The strange video quickly gained attention on social media, with a major population of people supporting the cosmonaut in his belief that they were, in fact, UFOs. The mysterious appearance and disappearance of the objects and their unique formation are quite similar to several of our experiences with UFOs over the years. However, the International Space Station never commented on this issue. In fact, they haven't mentioned the video since 2020, despite Ivan Winger submitting it to them for analysis. And so, once again, we are left with a space mystery in our hands and no forthcoming answers. Scenarios like these make you wonder how much these space exploration agencies know that the rest of the public does not. For a long time, we've seen agencies like NASA come under heat and allegations from whistleblowers about certain leaked info on aliens and UFOs, but it seems other space agencies are also in on keeping secrets about the cosmos away from the public.